Hi everyone, this is Eagle News. I am EJayGonzales in Washington. It's Saturday, July 16, 2022, here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins now. The number of commercial laboratories to accommodate monkeypox testing has increased, enhancing the nation's capacity to test for the disease. Rochelle Feria reports.
Mayo Clinic Laboratories begins testing for monkeypox using the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC's orthopox virus test. The orthopox virus test detects most non-smallpox related orthopox viruses. This includes monkeypox. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says the ability of commercial laboratories to test for monkeypox is necessary to combat the disease. Dr. Walensky says this will not only increase testing capacity, but also make it more convenient for providers and patients to access tests by using existing provider-to-laboratory networks. Mayo Clinic Laboratory offers this testing at its Division of Clinical Microbiology Laboratories in Rochester, Minnesota, and can accept specimens from anywhere in the country. Mayo Clinic Laboratories expects to perform up to 10,000 tests per week. On June 22, the Health and Human Services Department has announced that 5 commercial laboratory companies would soon begin offering monkeypox testing. Since then, CDC has shipped the test to the laboratories for administration, among other steps. CDC advises anyone with a rash that looks like monkeypox to talk to their healthcare provider about whether they need to get tested, even if they don't think they had contact with someone who had the disease. Healthcare providers nationwide can order the orthopox virus test from Mayo Clinic Laboratories just as they normally would order other tests. The public will not be able to go to Mayo Clinic Laboratory and submit a specimen. Rochelle Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
As more and more American families endure the severe impact of inflation, there's at least one less thing parents have to worry about with their kids having to stay home this summer: food. Jeff Sanidad reports.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, states and territories across the country partnered to provide food benefits for the summer months to eligible children. As of July 8th, there are 27 states and territories, including Puerto Rico, set up to provide these benefits to an estimated 13 million children. USDA's Food and Nutrition Service Administrator Cindy Long says for a long time now, millions of families have struggled to keep their kids fed and healthy during the summer while schools are out. Long says child food benefits can bridge the gap and help families provide the nourishment their children deserve. These benefits are aimed to help American families in need cope with the rising food cost. Children are eligible for this temporary nutrition benefit known as Summer PEBT if they receive free or reduced price meals during the school year. If they are under age 6 and live in a household receiving SNAP benefits, they are eligible too. The benefits are loaded onto a debit type card and can be used to purchase food. Families of eligible children typically receive $391 per child for the summer, with a higher rate for families in Alaska, Hawaii, and the territories. For a list of states and territories participating in the Child Food Benefits for Summer program, go to USDA.gov. Jeff Sanidad, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now, summer travel is peaking, and so do traveler complaints. In a recent move by the Transportation Department, several actions have been made to appease airline customers. Arlene Campo reports.
The U.S. Department of Transportation, or USDOT, publishes the first ever Airline Passengers with Disabilities Bill of Rights. The department also issues a notice to airlines to seat young children next to a parent with no additional charge. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says these actions are steps toward ensuring an air travel system that works for everyone. Buttigieg says all air travelers deserve safe, accessible, affordable, and reliable airline service. The historic Bill of Rights will empower travelers with disabilities to understand and assert their rights. It will also help ensure that U.S. and foreign air carriers and their contractors uphold those rights. The department warns it will act against any airline whose seating policies and practices are barriers to a child sitting next to an adult family member or other accompanying adult family member. The actions announced by the department also include addressing consumer complaints and refunds. The department says that according to the latest air travel consumer report, consumer complaints against airlines are up more than 300% above pre-pandemic levels. Arlene Ocampo, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now, millions in Canada were cut off from the online world for a day when the telecoms giant Rogers had a network outage. In Toronto, April Masongsong has the story.
Last week, giant telecommunications company Rogers Communications experienced a company-wide network outage that affected millions of its customers and thousands of businesses across the country. The outage began Friday morning and affected debit and credit payment systems. Personal users lost their Wi-Fi, cable, and mobile phone connections that day as well. Regular services were eventually and fully restored this week, but the massive national network outage has prompted Canada's Industry Minister, François-Philippe Champagne, to call a meeting of major telecom executives to come up with an immediate action plan to ensure the reliability of network connections and avoid this massive outage in the future. Dan Kelly, President and CEO of Canadian Federation of Independent Business, calls for proper compensation to small business owners as hundreds of businesses lost critical sales. Tony Staffieri, President and CEO of Rogers Communications, announced Tuesday that their services have been fully restored and that everything is close to fully operational. He also cites a network system failure which caused their routers to malfunction early Friday morning. Staffieri apologizes to their customers and will proactively credit all customers automatically for the days of lost connection. April Masongsong, Eagle News, Toronto, Ontario.
The United Nations calls upon the citizens of the world to turn the tide for the future of our oceans. Melissa Potes tells us why today is the day to start paddling toward change. Here's Down to Earth.
It's estimated that there are currently 50 to 75 trillion pieces of plastic and microplastics in the ocean. At the UN Ocean Conference held in Lisbon, Portugal, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres declared that the world is in the midst of an oceans emergency.
When we see the Earth from space, we truly appreciate that we live on a blue planet. The ocean connects us all. Sadly, we have taken the ocean for granted, and today we face what I would call an ocean emergency. We must turn the tide. And some 8 million tons of plastic waste enter the oceans every year. Without drastic action, this plastic could overweight all the fish in the oceans by 2050.
The theme of this long-delayed UN conference is scaling up ocean action based on science and innovation for the implementation of Goal 14, stocktaking, partnerships, and solutions. Melissa Potes, Down to Earth, Eagle News.
Now, in related news, targeting what is considered an ambitious goal of zero emissions by 2050, the United States and Australia officially signed a partnership. Anna Kui tells us more.
The United States and Australia signed the Net Zero Technology Acceleration Partnership at the Sydney Energy Forum. The US and Australia agreed to a formal partnership aimed at accelerating the development and deployment of zero emissions technology. The US says the agreement reflects the two nations' joint commitment to grow energy capacity and obtain the full advantages of affordable, diverse, and secure clean energy. Australia recognizes that the partnership is a huge milestone in ramping up the two countries' shared commitment to an ambitious climate action and energy security. The U.S. Energy Department says reducing emissions while growing economies and jobs might be a challenge, but an opportunity as well that requires global effort. The partnership is said to be the first step in delivering on the commitment to make climate change a centerpiece of the U.S. alliance. It reinforces shared commitments to deliver on ambitious 2030 targets and reach net zero by 2050. Anna Kui, Las Vegas, Nevada, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In Papua New Guinea, the ongoing national election has been disrupted by chaos and confusion. Echo Hortaleza Quinola with more on that story on Oceania at a Glance.
In Port Moresby, voters were left wondering when they could cast a ballot.
The polling dates were changed several times because local election officials did not know where they could obtain the updated electoral common roll. Incumbent Governor Powes Parkop describes the election as incompetent and disgusting. In other provinces, ballot boxes were smashed by people frustrated that their names had not been put on the election rolls. Vote buying is rampant. The election has also been marred by violence and controversies. Ballot counting for some provinces has begun. Others won't start until July 22nd. That will leave only a 6-day window to complete all of the counting by the July 28th deadline. Counting is being overseen by poll watchers and others to ensure honest results.
This past week, the country's police commissioner appealed to the people to continue to support the elections. David Manning said, "The problems with the vote are a test and the country does not have the luxury of giving up." Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. We live in extraordinary times.
NASA's investment in what it considers the most powerful telescope in space has paid off. The James Webb Space Telescope captures what scientists are calling the deepest and clearest view of the universe. Here's Philip Toledo on this week's Learning Curve.
The highly anticipated first images from the James Webb Space Telescope have finally been released. The stunning full-color images as well as spectroscopic data were taken by the sensitive instruments on the telescope that take in infrared light from across the universe. The release marks the beginning of Webb's general science operations, and the telescope, which is orbiting 1 million miles from Earth, farther than our moon, allows scientists to study what they believe are the images of stars and other cosmic activities from the formation of the universe. Scientists also use data collected to identify atmospheric compositions of faraway planets, such as the presence of water. The first full-color image was revealed in a special White House briefing with President Joe Biden. The president spoke to the importance of this international partnership of the mission.
You know, as an international collaboration, this telescope embodies how America leads the world, not by the example of our power, but the power of our example. A partnership with others. It symbolizes the relentless spirit of American ingenuity, and it shows what we can achieve. These images are going to remind the world that America can do big things, and they remind the American people, especially our children, that there's nothing beyond our capacity, nothing beyond our capacity. We can see possibilities no one has ever seen before. We can go places no one has ever gone before.
More images from the James Webb Telescope will continue to be released over time. For more information, visit nasa.gov or their related social media channels. Philip Toledo, Learning Curve, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Now today, we get a glimpse of the Caipi Peru Festival 2022 in celebration of Peruvian culture. Let's find out from Arlene Campo what events await you on this week's Embassy Files.
The
KP Peru Festival 2022 includes a movie screening as part of the celebration highlighting the Peruvian culture here in Washington, D.C. The free screening of El Canto de las Mariposas, or The Song of the Butterflies, by director Nuria Frigola Torrent will be shown on July 23 at the National Museum of the American Indian and is collaborated with the Embassy of Peru. This movie talks about an Amazonian artist from the Huitatú Nation in Peru who left his community to pursue a successful career in Lima. The artist travels to Colombia to find inspiration from his grandmother's stories. This is where he confronts the horrors of his people as a result of the rubber boom and understands why the stories of his ancestors can never be forgotten. He carries on his family tradition of visual storytelling, an act of communal and personal healing. Arlene Campo, Embassy Files, Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
What does an internet radio station, a martial arts school, and a fashion show have in common? They are among the many partnerships in Corpus Christi that are collaborating to help children attain valuable life skills through the nonprofit organization Building Bridges Together. Here is Jane Kathleen Gregorio to tell us more on this week's Community Care.
We're here today in Corpus Christi, Texas, where we will discover how a radio station, a jiu-jitsu instructor, and local community partners are teaming up to give kids a leg up on life. Katie Logan, Program Director and Internet Radio Station Manager for 361ccradio.com, wanted to create a nonprofit to help children in the community learn values and skills to help them succeed in life. He founded the organization Building Bridges Together, also known as BBT, a 501c3 organization which collaborates with local businesses and community leaders to offer programs for physical fitness, mental well-being, cultural education, and even financial literacy for the youth.
BBT, Building Bridges Together, an organization where we stand on 4 legs. We teach our youth about martial arts, about finance, music, and how to dress. And we try to get them to motivate them to be more sure of themselves. Going around the community, there a lot of young men did not know how to tie a tie. So we want to teach them how to tie a tie, how to dress, how to get ready for an interview, have self-esteem, and realize life can be better for them if they take the first step.
Herschel Schultz, a local jiu-jitsu instructor, uses martial arts to teach young people how to calm their emotions and channel their energy.
We make sure that children, when they come into my academy, the 3 things they'll always know is from the heart, the mind, which will lead the hands. They're taught how to think. They're not just taught stand in line, go do this. We really get down to the basis of the heartstrings. So, and jiu-jitsu showed me how to do that, brought me to the present. A lot of kids are dealing with things with distractions, cell phones, families. So we take the distractions away, show them a deeper sense of self so they can walk this life a little easier. So that's what jiu-jitsu did for me. And that's what I want to convey to other kids and adults as well, how they can reach that pinnacle in their lives. With BBT, a great organization I'm part of.
Recently, as part of the Juneteenth celebration, a cultural fashion show was held with proceeds benefiting BBT. Clothing and accessories were provided by Lots of Art boutique owner Evelyn Cooper.
Katie Logan had told me that he was planning an event for the launch of his nonprofit, Building Bridges Together. And he asked me if I would be a part of that by hosting a fashion show. We met together and we formed a coalition. We brought in what I specialize in, globally inspired apparel and accessories. And so basically all I had to get was some models who could show those pieces effectively. and something that the entire community would benefit from. It was a beautiful event, very diverse in attendance, and it was everything that I had hoped that it would be.
You're watching Eagle News Net 25.
Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News, Corpus Christi, Texas. We live in extraordinary times.
Now let's check in with Bernadette Regini as she takes us on a haircut adventure. Here's this week's Glow Up.
As a woman over 45 years young, I still don't know what to do with my hair. Over the years, I have tried many different styles, from a regretful perm to the short bob to the Jennifer Aniston look, but it always grows out exactly the same way. Parted in the middle, straight, nothing to it. So it's time for the salon. Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Glow Up. It's me, Bernadette. We're on this journey together to becoming the most beautiful version of ourselves, both inside and out. It's time for something different, and I've always had the mindset that hair grows. The last time I gave my hair any attention was about 9 months ago, so this appointment is long overdue. So stay tuned for the end results. So what do you think? I love my new cut and color. I didn't do anything very big change this time because I wanted to keep the length, but I love my new cut and color, and all I had my stylist do was take a few inches off the length, frame my face, and go for a lighter color for this summer. Thank you so much again for spending your time with me. If you have any beauty ideas and or tips, comment below and you might see it on our next episode. I'm Bernadette Regini, Glow Up, Eagle News.
Before we let you go, let's take a quick French food trip to this lovely Parisian cafe in the Pacific Northwest. Rex Dulai joins us this week.
No passport, no plane ticket. You're now being transported from the city of clouds and rain to the city of love. We are in the posh city of Bellevue, about 10 or 15 minutes east of Seattle. The Experience Paris is a small collection of concept stores / cafes throughout the east side of the greater Seattle area. It's a chic hybrid of bakery, cafe, and gift shop for all things Parisian. Our brunch consisted of a croque madame and the grand-mère French toast. Let's dig in. Right, this is the grand-mère French toast. Maple syrup. I believe this might be Nutella. The chantilly cream. Very dense. Very buttery. Normally I use my hands. Ooh. Oh, that's some beautiful yolk. The ham, the bechamel sauce, it's a subtle cheesy flavor. You would think because of all this, with the bechamel sauce, with the cheese, it would overpower, but it doesn't. And I appreciate that it just complements the center so well. It just reminds me of family vacations back when I was in college. My mom loves France. She loves it. So she would save up money and the family to visit Paris. The cool part is just visiting all the boulangeries or French bakeries where you get to have pastries, tarts, and even croque madames and croque monsieur. How much I miss it so much with all this amazing food that I'm experiencing right now. Rex Dulai, Seattle, Washington, Eagle News.
For more about Rex's palette adventure at La Experience, check out the latest Plate Date episode on our YouTube channel. Now, thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basoyahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a seat and join us with Anna Kui. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos in Canada with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am EJayGonzales. We live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone.